The Niagara IceDogs are heading into a new season with a new owner and a new coach. Two things that aren't new, though, we've got them with us today. Our OHL Tonight announcers, Steve Clark and Ed Burkholder, joining us now for a preview of 2022-2023. Steve, the 15th season for the IceDogs, am I right?
15th season for the IceDogs and 15th season for Ed Al and I, Mike.
How do you guys keep it together? You all work well together, but man, 15 seasons together, that doesn't happen too often.
You know what? It doesn't happen too often. And I think the key for me, and I don't know if Ed will agree or not, is that we all kind of challenge each other to be better. Each and every year, we challenge each other to put forth the best broadcast. We're not afraid of different challenges, of experimenting, of trying new things. And we're all very confident in each other. And there's a very trusting relationship between all of us, I think, both on the air and off the air. And so when we get on the air, it's very, very, very seamless. And I think we just have a real good sense of who we are as personalities and who we are as a broadcast team.
And Ed, Al went and released that book this summer. I guess you two had to go and read it, right? Did he test you on it?
I was hoping there'd be more pictures, but it was a really good read, and it was a great experience actually, going through that process with Al, and then reading the book and seeing the different stories of the Margot pages and such like that. And actually reading Al's story too was unbelievable. I really hope that a lot of people will stop by and pick up that book at the local bookstore.
And we had him on the show, and it was fascinating. And reading your story as well, Ed, very fascinating, very inspiring. Steve, what you've seen so far with the IceDogs during preseason, what are you looking forward to from the results of these games?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much we can read into the preseason, considering you've got a whole new ownership, a whole new coaching staff, and a tremendous amount of turnover on the roster. So what I was looking for in the exhibition season was a little bit of cohesion, a little bit of creativity, a little bit of chemistry, and a sense that these guys could play together. And I've seen it, sort of in spurts here in the preseason. They've lost a couple of close ones. They've won a couple games too. It's been a little bit uneven, but that's not really anything new when it comes to the preseason. But I want to see how quickly these guys are going to gel. I mean, with a brand new coach in Daniel Fitzgerald, brand new assistant coaches, some returnees from last year, and a bunch of new veteran players, that's a lot to kind of take in as a team when you're getting ready for the season. I'll give them some grace period at the beginning of the season as they get used to each other, but that's really kind of what I'm looking for and what I've been looking for from what I've seen in the preseason.
Ed, you're a scout. You run hockey camps. You're very skilled at evaluating young talent. Is anybody standing out to you? Any newcomers?
Yeah, I really like Kevin He. This is a guy that Clark and I talked about in the last broadcast that, has come in as a 16-year-old. He's a second-round pick, and he's got NHL feet. He's got great speed. He's got great playmaking ability. And for a 16-year-old to come into the OHL and be committed to a 200-foot game really says a lot. I think Pappas is going to be an exciting player as well. I mean, he came in the last exhibition game we broadcasted, and he was really, gathered a lot of attention from myself. And one thing that I really noticed with Clarkie's play-by-play, if you hear him saying a name consistently over and over again, it means that player is really involved. And Pappas was one of those players that Clarkie mentioned, numerous times every period. And really, it's important that it is every period. And just to build on a point that Clarkie made was, you have all this newness coming into the Meridian Center, but at the end of the day, it's just a game of hockey. You have to drop the puck and play. And I think one of the most important things that the IceDogs really have to do is create that culture in the dressing room that, hey, this is what we believe in. This is the way we play. And just go out there and play every shift one at a time, play hard for 60 minutes and hopefully get good results.
You mentioned culture, and I've got to bring this up because the previous ownership group was under fire for a particular type of culture. We've got a clean slate with Darren Dadobalar and his ownership group. What do you think that means, Steve, for the team going forward?
Well, it's an excellent question. I think it's the question that everybody's asking The one thing I will say is that you never judge people by, sort of how things ended. And we know how things did not end particularly well, with the Burke family, with two, the two boys at general manager and coach getting suspended and Bill and Denise selling the team. But to me, I judge by the full 15-year tenure or close to 15-year tenure that the Burks had and what they did in the Niagara region. And how they became an embedded part of this region, not just in St. Catharines, but anywhere from Niagara Falls to Fort Erie to Grimsby and all points in the Niagara area. And I think Darren Dodobler, while putting his own stamp, and he certainly has with the number of moves that he's made and the people he's brought in, has continued to honor the fact that this is a regional team. And I think he needs that approach too, because that's what gets people in the Meridian Center and comes close to selling out the building at times when we had full attendance. So I think he'll retain that part of the equation while putting his own stamp really with the personnel both off the ice and on the ice.
Yeah, that's Mike. That's one thing that I know Clarky feels strongly about this too. That the Burks were unbelievable. They treated us like gold. And at the end of the day, if it wasn't for the Burks, there wouldn't be a Meridian Center. There wouldn't be what's happening downtown. There's hundreds of people in Niagara that have jobs because of the Burke family. Their consistency of kindness has been overwhelming. And just one quick story, if I might, just to describe what the Burks are. I was mentoring a young fellow that was suffering from cancer, and we were trying to raise a little bit of money for him. And Bill and Denise came in privately and got me one-on-one and handed me a check, a substantial check for this family. And it wasn't about newspaper headlines. It wasn't about attention. It was about two caring people that really cared about this child. And it was those things that I feel they should be remembered for, and I feel they will. Anyone that knows the family knows that they're solid people.
Well, I think you're right.
Quick.
I think both of you are right on both of those points. And I do have to say, having grown up in St. Catharines, there were a lot of attempts. The Hamilton Finn Cups had moved here at one point. The Maple Leafs farm team played out of here for a couple of years. And those teams came and went, and the Burks were able to keep this team here for 14 years. We move on now to the 15th as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said it's a new era, but all those things that we talked about remain the same. Like the downtown is vibrant. The Meridian Center is one of the best buildings in the Ontario Hockey League to watch a hockey game. Hopefully some of the excitement that the IceDogs had in past seasons when they were successful will return. And just as a quick aside of my own personal story, I lost both of my parents in a very short amount of time. And Bill and Denise Burke were wonderful. They honored them on the scoreboard. They honored them on the website. They said anything that you want. They invited my wife and daughter to a New Year's game and invited them to sit in their private box. They're top people. And that's really what makes, you want to believe in an OHL franchise in St. Catharines. And I think Darren Dodobler will continue that.
Ed, any new wrinkles in the broadcast booth?
Well, hopefully we won't giggle a lot this year. Clarky
No
always
promises. No promises.
It's all Clarky's fault. But I think what Steve had at the beginning of this interview with talking about all of us trying to push each other. It's Rich, Darren, and then the on-air guys and the whole crew, and we know each other well enough that hey, look at maybe try this, or we're always asking our director and producer, what can we do to become better? And that's what drives us. I think if we were all kind of stagnant, we probably wouldn't be here at this point in season 15. But with our 500th broadcast for regular season games coming up this season, we're awfully proud of the job we do, and we have fun doing it.
Well, we're happy to have you here on your TV. Steve Clark, Ed Burkholder, thanks for joining us. September 29th, home opener, season opener, 7 o'clock, right here on your TV. Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Mike.